Welcome, and thank you for joining for another whiskey review. Today, we take a look at the Ardbeg 2019 release, the 2000 vintage of the 19-year-old Ardbeg. Oldest Ardbeg released in quite some time. Actually, the oldest one released from the new distillate.
Yeah.
So all the other ones are the 20-somethings were from the old distillate. This is the oldest of the new distillate. It comes in at 46.2% ABV. Dustin, this is a whiskey that I have bought a long time ago, probably about a year ago, but I'm waiting to bring it as far as a review because I want to take my time with it and see what I thought. But both of us have a bottle of this, and we've been drinking on it for the better part of a year. And we thought that now was maybe a good time to finally give our thoughts on this. Polarizing? Is it a polarizing whiskey?
You know, I think the price has made this a very polarizing whiskey.
Yeah, it's not cheap.
No, it's not cheap. $300, and we're also kind of waiting to find out how true their batch variations are going to be on these, because they're claiming each release is going to be different, but we really don't know how different.
Yeah, especially since they kind of watered down to the 46.2 or 46 point whatever ABV. You know, it's kind of a gimmick. They were gimmick's probably too harsh of a word, but that was something they were doing with the 20-something series.
Yeah.
You know, I brought everyone this the 21, the 22, and the 23 on this channel, and they were 46 and then 46.8 and 46.3. So they danced around a little bit as far as the ABV, and this one's no different. It's basically a 46% ABV offering, natural color and unchill filtered.
Yep. And this is now officially core, so every year they're going to release it, but they're saying they'll be different, so I don't know how that's core.
Well, I know this. I know it probably has got something to do with cask maturation. This one is Oloroso sherry cask and also ex-American. It doesn't say bourbon, it says ex-American oak.
Yeah.
So it could be, bourbon, it could be, seasoned with, sherry. I mean, who knows?
I'm betting heavily it's bourbon.
Yeah, that would be my guess. But again, this just came out in 19, and it's always a positive sign when sort of like Ardbeg will put an age statement on it.
Yep.
And release it at close to 20 years. 19 is an odd age statement, though.
Yes, it is.
You don't see that a lot.
No, I guess you can't think of anybody else putting out 19. It's off the top of my head.
Well, I mean, Lagavulin did one in 19. That was a one-off.
So when I'm talking like core, like
core. That's a very odd
unusual
range.
one.
Very, very odd range. Now, again, this is from the new distillate, so those of you who don't know, Ardbeg did close down in the late 90s, so it's not the same still. So this is kind of a showcase of what Ardbeg can do with a little bit of age to it.
Yep.
And as far as a price, I picked this one up for $300 here in Columbus, Ohio, and it's about where it's at in most states.
Yeah.
So, if all the 20-somethings, the 21, 22, and 23, they all retail for around $500.
A little higher, I think. On
$550 sometimes.
Yeah, I mean.
And so, I expected a big price tag for this 19-year-old.
Yeah.
But, it's right there with what a Macallan is. Macallan 18 is. It's a, high price.
It's actually cheaper now than the Macallan 18.
Yeah.
At least here in Ohio. In Ohio, it's $375 now.
Yeah, they keep
it's insane.
Ramping that up. But as far as overpriced whiskey goes, let's talk about this one.
Yep.
And again, let me show you the color. Really nice, light Ardbeg 10-ish type color.
It's a little darker, I think. I think you're getting just a hint of that sherry cask.
Yeah, a little darker
Just
than
a
10. But not what I would call a dark whiskey. This is very light gold.
Yep, and I mean, I'm seeing some decent legs here for 46%. I mean, they're holding long enough, I think, so.
Yeah, I mean, it looks, I wouldn't call it an oily looking drink. But, I mean, it looks like it does have some viscosity to it. But
when you hear 46%, that's right at that point where it could be pretty good or it could be pretty thin.
Well, as I've discussed with you many times, as far as buying whiskey going forward, I'm going to have a hard time buying anything under 46% ABV.
Yeah, it's becoming a challenge.
It is, but we'll see.
Yep.
All right, let's get to the nose. Tell you guys what we think.
So right off the bat, I can pick up sherry. There's a nice bit of fruitiness to it. There is a hint of that lemon lime type thing you get in the Ardbeg 10, but very subtle.
Now this one has opened up well. Now this bottle, if you can't see, is about right here. So I have been drinking on it for the better part of a year, bringing it to you here in September of 2020. I got this bottle right when it first came out and opened it up right away. So it has had quite a bit of time to oxidize. And really now I think it's hitting its stride as far as what you get initially, because it was a little closed off at first. Now, I do get some sherry notes, but I'm getting a lot of classic Ardbeg 10 just better here.
Yeah. I mean, there's a bit more oak on this one. And it's in a very nice state. I mean, I'm loving the oak notes I'm getting here on the finish.
It is somewhat oaky. I would expect more oak out of a 19-year-old whiskey, or at least the youngest whiskeys being 19. I would expect to get a little bit more oak than I'm getting. When I first opened the bottle, I almost got none.
Oh, I got 0, but now I'm getting a nice little bit of oak at the end. I'd say it's about in line with an 18.
See, that's the reason why it took so long to bring this whiskey to review, because I wanted to give us some time to open up, because Ardbeg is very similar to, say, Lagavulin. Takes some time to kind of uncoil, especially, when you first open up a new bottle when it's an older whiskey. The 21, the 22, and the 23 all hit a really nice spot after about 3-4 months of the bottle being open, and this really is no exception.
Yeah. I will say on the nose, I'm not getting a ton of that Ardbeg peat character. I mean, it's there. There's some of it there, and I don't think it's fading. I think it's just
subdued.
Yeah, I think the oak and the sherry casks are they're kind of taking over a little bit here, and the lack of ABV is keeping that core Ardbeg thing from coming out in force.
To me, there is the Ardbeg smoke, but you're right. It's a little bit more tamed than it was on other expressions, and than it was when I first opened up the bottle. I got a lot more of it when I first had the bottle, but it's very, very soft.
Yeah, I think when I first opened this was a much peatier whiskey, so it's more the time and oxidation that maybe has brought down the peat a little bit here.
We're getting the best of this bottle, in my opinion, right now.
Absolutely.
I still do get a good amount of smoke. I'm getting a lot of lemon and lime.
Lemon lime, yeah, and then I think there's a slight earthiness here, but it's not what I generally like. It's not one of the earthy notes I get first on Ardbeg. It's one I have to look for in most. This one's got some kind of earthy. I can't really explain it here, Mike. Maybe you got something.
I mean, to me, I'm getting a lot of the same things I get off the 10, just in a more refined way. I'm getting lemon, I'm getting lime, I'm getting that nice ridge of vanilla.
One thing I'll point out is there's not an off note on this. Everything in here goes together. It's nice. It's pleasant. It's very approachable.
Something that I've said, or something about this whiskey from the first time I've opened it, it feels like lemon and lime and vanilla and a little bit of that Ardbeg smoke just really melted together to where, before there were starts and stops to those flavors in the Ardbeg 10, where this are all just very melted.
Yeah. Everything is homogenized very nicely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's almost like, it's almost like waves lapping up against the shore. Like it's all there, but it's just moving in whatever direction it feels like. I get a little bit of lemon, a little bit of lime, the vanilla, rather than just lemon, lime, vanilla, peat, and it just being very structured as far as the experience. This one just kind of moves back and forth.
Absolutely.
I mean, I would say that there are a lot of aspects of this whiskey that reminds me of just the basic 10-year-old.
Absolutely, especially on the nose. The nose is very much like the 10, but pushed up to 11,
Yeah, no, I mean, they're stronger flavors. They're more defined as far as, the lemon and lime, the citrus notes come out a little bit more than they do in the 10. It's not as artificial. It feels more like it's infused in the whiskey rather than just being superficial layers of a whiskey.
It's more of an elegant 10. But really, I think elegance is how I would describe it.
Yeah, I was always expecting a little bit more from this whiskey, than that. Because I still think the 10 brings you 80-90% of what this bottle gives you on the nose.
Oh, absolutely. So I just went in for the first taste on this thing, and instantly we go back into much more of that traditional Ardbeg peat. I'm getting more of the salts, and I'm getting more of just the peat bog. There's a good sweetness to this. It's not jumping out though as like, oh, this is sherry, like the nose did at first. Lemon, lime, lots of those traditional notes, but the peat really went up here a notch, and the salts came out much more islandy.
Well, that's stronger on the palate than it was on the nose.
Yep.
Very subdued, kind of melted together. There's kind of like waves lapping up against the seashore. They come up against rocks. We kind of don't know what's coming, but it's going to be gentle. It's going to be a few things. It's very, very Ardbeg smoke. I get that small twinge of metallic that I sometimes get in older Ardbegs. But yeah, a ton of peat, lemon, lime on the palate. But this has been my complaint with this whiskey is I wish there was more.
Yeah.
I wish there was more flavors in this, sort of those same things that I get normally with the 10.
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, higher ABV would really help this one because
Agreed.
It needs to take that to the next level. And I think by watering this down, they've really hidden some of like that age and what the cask really did there. So
yeah, because when I think Ardbeg, I think okay, they probably use better cask than their neighbors Lagavulin and Lefroy.
Yeah,
because that's why you pay that premium price and everything because they use a little bit a more premium
I
cask.
think that's true on the low end. I don't know if these older bottles are doing that though.
I agree. I don't know.
And it's possible. Hey, look, they weren't planning on when they were going to start doing these older age-dated Ardbegs. This is the first one to come out, so maybe they were looking around, going, "Well, we kind of only have these casks. Let's throw them together."
Which would make sense because as far as the year goes, because it's a goofy year.
Yeah.
Because again, 19 is just like where they come up with 19. That's kind of odd. It almost feels like they. And again, don't get me wrong. I am very happy that Ardbeg decided to do an age statement that was closer to 20 years old. Something like 17, 18, 19, 20 years old. I'm really happy they finally put an age statement on something, especially with their new distillate. But I was expecting more. I gotta tell you, I was expecting a little more oomph, from one of these older Ardbegs, like something that I got maybe off the 22 or the 23 from the 20-something series, and it just comes off a little bit rushed to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's making me think more of, this is a weird way to say this, but it's reminding more of like a Glenfiddich that's at a higher age statement. It's a little more refined, it's easier to drink, it's nicer.
Sure.
But it's not Ardbeg. Ardbeg should be a little more aggressive, a little more assertive,
And I think the only way they would have got that with this particular blend of cask is it is at a higher ABV.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's really anything else you could have done with it, but I know that Ardbeg, they're wanting to stay around that 46% mark.
Yeah. I mean, this is a distillery that puts out the Corey Vrecken, puts out the Uvidel. I mean, at these very high ABVs for these, core range offerings. Yeah, the 10's 46. But even then, the new Wee Beastie, which neither of us have had and probably not on my list right now.
Well, I mean, eventually, but, I'm not running out to buy it.
Yeah, but
what's that, 48?
It's 48, yeah, point something. So, I mean, they generally give us more ABV. And then, we kind of looked the other way about the 20-somethings because it was such a limited release. They've had so few bottles.
And I wanted the old distillate.
Yeah.
And see, that's where I think I'm getting to with this particular bottle is, and I hope I'm wrong, but I don't know how much I like the new Ardbeg distillate as far as, I like it, but I don't know if it's something that I feel is like super special.
Yeah.
Like I used to feel about Ardbeg.
Yeah, and it's hard to say because, again, this is the first, old age statement we've seen. And I mean, 19 is not really old. It's aged.
It's medium age.
Yeah. I mean, it's quality. We'd like to see this get into I would love to see a 21 year. I know,
at least 20 something.
Yeah. But I definitely 25, obviously. But the way they price, I don't know that I want to pay for it.
Yeah, so that really gets me to my next point as far as this bottle is. This bottle isn't cheap. This is a $300 bottle.
Yeah.
And for 19, the only other whiskey that is a similar age that is more expensive is, again, the Macallan 18. So, that's kind of where Ardbeg is they're sort of the Macallan of the peated whiskey world in regards to the price. It's an ultra premium price for it. And I was expecting a high price for this 19, but I was hoping that it delivered like the 20-somethings did to me.
Yeah. And I think it's just a little short. Now, I mean, that said,
still great whiskey.
I like the whiskey a lot.
Yeah, I like the whiskey. If this was a $150 bottle, I'd have 5 of them.
When they release the 2020 edition, I'll be there buying it right away.
I'll try it again for sure. But again, if this is a $150 bottle, I'd have 2 or 3 bottles.
Yeah. Now we should quickly get on to, we added water.
Yeah.
The nose is now more vanilla, a little sweeter.
More vanilla, a little sweeter, sure. I still don't think it's anything outside the realm of what you would expect or something that you haven't seen from Ardbeg in some shape or form in regards to the 10-year-old.
And then on the taste, it's gotten sweeter, it's gotten a little more refined at first, and then I get this kind of sour oak note that really hits hard, and then the finish is really intense compared to the rest of it. And it's bringing back a lot more of the Ardbeg smoke and dank, and it's actually gotten more peaty with that drop of water on the finish, and I'm really digging this finish.
I agree. I mean, it's a solid whiskey.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. I mean, again, it smells nice. It smells like I would expect Ardbeg to smell like.
Yep.
I mean, but again, if you would have told me blind, I should have done this blind, but if you would have told me blind that this was Ardbeg 10, but it was 14 years old, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Or it's a 15-year-old Ardbeg 10, you know what I mean?
No, I've done 10 and 19 side by side a couple times, Mike, and it's instantly, you know which one is that it's 19. You know it's better. It's clear. It's not subtle, but
not enough of a difference.
Yeah. So I mean, again, we're talking here in Ohio. We do get some pretty good prices on these Ardbegs. I see them go on sale the 10 years, not that this one, and I see them go on sale as low as $43, $45.
Yeah, that's good bang for your buck.
And then I think standard we're looking at about $55.
Okay, so it's 6 times.
6 times more expensive. And you expect diminishing returns, so I would expect this to be 150, 200 range based on the 10-year.
Sure.
And
it's 300.
Yeah, and it's just, come on, guys.
It's a little too high for what you're getting.
Yeah.
A little too high for what you're getting. Now, price aside, I judge the whiskey on what the whiskey is.
Yep.
And as far as the whiskey score, I'm at 87, 88 out of 100.
Yeah, I'm right at that 88 mark. It's right there.
It's solid. It's a solid.
It's a $200 whiskey, I think, at the
most.
high end.
At most.
But I think 175 is really where this should be.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's good age. It's Ardbeg. It's uncolored. It's unchill filtered. It's 46.2. Is it 2? Yeah, 46.2%. So, I mean, that's a good ABV. But there's no wow factor with this, and I was hoping for wow when I first had this. Like, again,
a little menthol now.
Again, when I tried the 20 somethings, not necessarily the 21, but when I tried the 22 and 23, I had some wow factor to it initially.
Oh yeah, I mean the 23's got this nice little. It has a stronger Oloroso sherry note that's gorgeous. The 22 has got more of that vanilla and just. It's got more mouthfeel and
it's creamier
flavor. Yeah.
Yeah. Where this is it's just a good whiskey, not a great whiskey.
It's a little dry too, I think, on the mouthfeel. Like it's not thin, but it's dry, and that's keeping it from being oily.
Yeah, I wanted more. I was hoping and I was wishing for more, and I was almost excited once I saw the $300 price tag. I'm like, well, man, if it's $300, this better be something you're like, okay, wow, this better be Macallan rare cask or something like that, to where it's just like, okay, it's something different. Yep. Maybe not what I expected, but it's something that you can say I can't replicate this easily someplace else. And this, you can do it for me.
Last thing I'll say though, Mike, I think they're so close to this being a $300 whiskey. Like there's just, if they got a little bit better cask, maybe they pushed it to 46.9 just so they can stick with
48. Give me 48.
That's what I want. But
I know.
You could just give me a little more mouthfeel on this, some better casks. They're not far from this being really in that exceptional range.
No.
That 90, well, okay, they're getting close to an 89, I think, if they could get that right.
I know. Yeah, I mean, for it to be a whiskey that's truly, in my opinion, something I would seek and look for and everything else, it's got to be better on a few different fronts.
Yeah.
Got to be better cask, got to be higher ABV. There's just got to be more to it, where this is just a pretty good whiskey. So I wanted to be as generous with it as I possibly could, because I want to love this whiskey.
Yep.
And I waited as long as I could. At first, I thought it was an 85, 86. I'm at 87, 88 out of 100. Dustin's at an 88. That's where we're at. I don't think we're going to shock anybody with our opinions or flavor.
There's no surprising flavors here. If you know Ardbeg, this is
Ardbeg.
Ardbeg.
This is Ardbeg.
Absolutely.
It's a nice whiskey. It won't blow you away. $300, you can do better.
I guess one thing we should touch on.
What?
Has it lost peat because it's older?
No, still peaty.
Not at all.
Still
very
smoky and peaty. Those people, I hear that a lot of time. People say, like, I like young peat. I like,
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, whether it's Lafroig 25 or some of the older Lagavulins or this Ardbeg 19, just because it's a 20-year-old whiskey, it doesn't lose any of the peat. As a matter of fact, I think some of the best step forward as far as some of the peat is from these distilleries on some of these older bottles around 20 years old.
Yeah, I mean, the only difference is I think there's a little more oak on here, and
which is nice.
And maybe that's distracting someone from the peat, but it's all here.
Yeah, no, it is. There's a little bit of wood smoke, but it's basically peat smoke, as far as the smoky flavors in it. But, there's a little bit of back and forth with it. And again, I think if it maybe was a higher ABV, you would get more of that wood smoke.
Yeah, and I think you'd also get more of the peat.
Really, if this was cask strength, as a 55%, charge me $400 for it.
Yeah.
I would be more apt to pay $400 for a cask strength 20-year-old Ardbeg than I would paying their $300 for this 19 to 46.2.
Exactly.
Those are my thoughts. Our thoughts.
Yep.
Thoughts in general. Anyway, we want to once again thank you for joining for another whiskey review. And Dustin, until next time, what do we wish the folks?
Happy drinking.
Happy drinking.